That's not Am I the Asshole? How's it going, everybody? Hope your day is going super. It's Monday. A little dark out today, but that's okay. We have the light in here in the studio. As per usual, we're going to be going through my new favorite thread, Am I the Asshole? Where we discover people and their stories, and we get to determine whether or not they're the asshole or not. I get to share some coaching advice and some of the questions that I'd ask as a coach or a counselor. Get to drink some coffee, and that's it. These threads, this is the first time I'm reading through any of the threads, so you'll kind of get a first glimpse into how we would think about these things and some of the nuances there. Um, yeah, I don't think we need to say anymore. I think it's time to jump right in. So, our first question today is: Am I the asshole for leaving my 9-year-old half brother home alone? Hi, period. So, period. I, a 19-year-old female, live with my dad and stepmom, my half brother, 9-year-old male. For weeks, it was planned that this past Friday night, my dad and stepmom were going to her parents' 40th wedding anniversary at some fancy ass restaurant. Me and my brother weren't invited because we're not adults. Since I didn't get an invitation and I didn't want to be stuck at home with just my brother, I decided to make plans myself, and me and my boyfriend were going to go on a date. My dad and stepmom wanted me to babysit my brother, but like they've never paid me for babysitting him ever, and he's pretty hyperactive, so no thanks. After complaining for a bit, they hired a babysitter for him. So Friday comes around and I'm doing my hair and makeup and all that, getting ready for the date. My dad and stepmom had already left for dinner. While I was getting ready, I get a call from my stepmom in the car on the way to the restaurant saying that the babysitter canceled and that I'd have to stay home and watch him. I told her I was sorry, but I had plans and I didn't want to cancel. She said it was too late to call anyone and I had to stay. I said I can't and that I'd be home for another 40ish minutes, which should be enough for them time for them to come back home, and they have to be back then to watch him. She just hung up. Well, I finished getting ready and even waited another 15 minutes and they weren't back yet. I texted them I was leaving and left my brother home alone. We live in a nice neighborhood and I'm pretty sure I stayed home alone when I was 10, so I was sure it would be fine, especially since they didn't bother to come back home. Anyways, long story short, when I came back home, they were already home. My stepmom was pissed, many D's, that I left my brother home alone. She called me irresponsible and that I didn't care about family, etc. She also told me I'd have to pay for this vase my brother broke. I felt this is unreasonable since I gave them the warning I was leaving and they had the opportunity to come back, but I don't know. Am I the asshole? And oh, just to add, in case people are wondering if I paid rent or whatever, my grandmother gifted the house to my mom and dad as a wedding gift. When my mom left my dad, she gave him the house under the condition I could live there up until I finished grad school if I wanted to. An edit should have added that I only get free housing, not because they choose to, but because of a contract that I'd signed that he's forced to comply with. Everything else I pay for myself, and I even make my own food and clean up my messes. I should have said so in the post instead of commenting it. Oh yeah, and in case it wasn't clear in the post, I babysat him plenty of times before. Okay, lots of bonuses here. Lots of bonuses. But that's okay. That's good. So, are you the asshole for leaving your 9-year-old half brother home alone? I mean, you're also 19. Like, I know when I was 19, I would have probably done something similar. Maybe not me, but definitely a lot of my friends and people I know would have. Um, I've definitely done similar things to that. That's not age appropriate at 19 to not listen to your parents and go do your own thing. Um, with that said, I think both of you could have, oh yeah, I have a friend who's been looking to make some extra cash. Maybe they can stop by and babysit. That would have been the best solution, in my opinion, rather than, just leaving. 9 is a little, I mean, it depends on the family. I think it's a little young to be staying home alone for a long time on a Friday night. Like if you're going out on a date, you know, you're not going out for an hour, you're going out for a few hours. And usually, especially with kids, if they're hyperactive, if there's a lot of different things going on, you have to sort of train for leaving home alone. So, you might do half an hour, and then a couple hours. And you kind of create a system. I'm not sure that was done here. So I would have put those into place ahead of time. But in the moment, I would have just said, oh, yeah, like I have a friend who's been looking to make up some extra cash here. They can babysit. That would have been the best solution in my opinion. I think you kind of been at like you left your parents hanging because it's something they've been planning for a long time, but it's not not age appropriate to be 19, and when your parents say stay home with your brother, you're like nah. So I mean, I feel like there could have just been something better worked out here. I'm gonna keep this one open to respond to it after because I love these. This is my favorite thing. My friend showed this to me, and it's fun. I gotta read them the first time right here. Am I the asshole for telling my husband he doesn't deserve to be a father? This is gonna be a good one. First, I need to take a sip of the coffee. Nectar of the gods. Okay. Am I the asshole for telling my husband he doesn't deserve to be a father? I made a new Reddit account because my husband knows my main one. I'm 36-year-old female. Dennis is 39. So my husband Dennis and I have been together for 9 years, married for 4. When we met, we were both looking to settle down and have kids, so it felt like fate when we met. We started talking seriously about kids around 1.5 years and started trying at 2 years. After 3 years of trying and heartache, we decided to adopt. Following a long and hard journey, we were finally able to welcome home our beautiful daughter, Sophie. My husband was a wonderful father to Sophie. He loved holding her and being with her. He would rush to her side when he heard her cry. I couldn't have wished for a better partner and father for my children. Just after everything settled down with Sophie, we got pregnant. Both Dennis and I were elated to hear that we would be having another child and ecstatic when we found we were having another little baby girl so close in age to her sister. I started getting worried when I heard some of Dennis's comments as I started to show more and we got closer to birth. He once even said, I can't believe we're finally having our own, in italics, baby. I questioned what he meant by this as we already have Sophie, but he brushed it off saying I knew what he meant but didn't say it again to me. When I gave birth, Sophie was 11 months old and had been saying whenever she stroked my belly. So we decided to call our daughter Amy. When we brought Amy home, is when Dennis's behavior really started to slip and lack towards Sophie. He stopped giving her attention, documenting, or even caring about her milestones. He started actively trying to avoid interactions with Sophie. Example, if I asked him to tend to Sophie if she were making a fuss, he would go to the cot and say that he can't as he is tending to Amy. Sophie is clearly being impacted by the sudden loss of her father, so once the kids were in bed tonight, I asked him what is going on with him. He told me that since Amy was born, his love for Sophie has died. He then retracted and reworded, saying dimmed instead. I was horrified. I told him I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He tried to calm me down by saying that perhaps we could split them. He'll take Amy and I take Sophie. I almost felt like he was making a really, really shitty joke. I called him a terrible person and told him he didn't deserve to be a father. I told him that I feel betrayed and repulsed by him for using one child as a trial for the next. He left the house and hasn't come home since. It's snowy and it's getting on for 2 a.m. and I'm getting worried. Okay, so this is not an uncommon situation, unfortunately. So as a family, you're trying to get pregnant. And for a lot of families, that's very, very difficult. The next choice is fostering or adopting. In the case of fostering, you bring in a child for a short period of time. There's usually some kind of, it's like, oh yeah, you're bringing that child in for 7 months and then they might be getting adopted after that. But in adoption, that's your child. You're bringing them into your home. They're now in the fold. Congratulations, this is now a part of your family. You've adopted them. After they've adopted this baby, Dennis and, we don't know the original poster's name, get pregnant and have a girl. Now Dennis decides that, now that he has his own, again in quotes, baby girl, he doesn't have to tend to his adopted baby girl, that's somehow less than. And original poster's not even close to an asshole. Like, of course, it's not that he doesn't deserve to be a father. There's definitely some kind of conflict going in his head and that he needs help. But to become neglectful of a child because you didn't have them in the way that you wanted to is kind of, that 100% is an asshole move. So, original poster, I would say, is not, and Dennis is. I would say, though, Dennis and original poster should go and get some kind of support to sort of talk it through. Maybe there's kind of some kind of grief period in a way. Maybe or it's not even grief. It's like now that they have Amy. Now that they have, Amy, like tending to Sophie just seems like wrong because they have their own kid. But this is like totally wrong behavior. You can't neglect the child, especially like forget about neglecting a child, neglecting a baby. They have like no tools for themselves yet. Um, like if OP, original poster, the mom was at home to take care of Sophie, she'd be left alone. That's terrible. So yeah, again, Dennis, you're an asshole, my friend. Like get it together. Um, but yeah, go get help. Go talk about it with somebody because that's not a good behavior you should be sort of bringing into the fold of your life. Let's go take a look at another. These are hefty today for a Monday morning, but it's good. It's good to have the hefty conversations. Okay. Am I the asshole for the way I made my will? Oh, this is a bit of a TLDR. Okay. I am in my late 50s and recently found out I have cancer. I have brain mets and things aren't looking too good. I'm taking care of my affair and estate planning when this happened. I'm single, I have no kids and no long-term relationships. My parents died when I was young and the only surviving family I have are my aunt, uncle, 2 sisters, and their kids. I'm pretty well off. I started in construction. I have a very successful construction business. I'm leaving pretty much everything split between my family. I split a part of the estate to my aunt and uncle who are both in their late 70s. They don't have any kids and I would like to leave them something for them to live comfortably. The remaining money I've split equally between my sisters and their kids, 4 in total. My sisters are in their late 40s. Given our age difference and the early death of our parents, our relationship was a mix of sister-brother and sister-father. I was doing a lot of things other parents would do when they were growing up. I'm very close to them. The problem my brother-in-law's, BIL, brother-in-law. The problem my brother-in-law's had was the way I structured the money. I have the money invested in a long-standing trust fund. All 6 of them will receive $1 for every dollar they earn. They would essentially double their income. Any remaining money will be available to them after they reach 65 years in age. They also have the option to not use any money and let the investments continue till they retire. Alternatively, if they don't work, they will get no money till they're 65 years old. My nieces and nephews have either started working or are in their final year of college. My reasoning is that I want them to be self-sufficient. I don't want them to rely on this money or get lost in the sudden influx of wealth. At a recent sit-down with the family to explain things, I didn't want to leave any bitter feeling or cause fights over money after my death. Everyone seemed pretty accepting until I got a bunch of angry calls and messages from my brother-in-laws. Both of them were calling me a control freak, trying to tell their kids and wives how to live their lives. I'm a bit shocked. I didn't really have such an intention. Am I being a controlling asshole? Edit to clarify, I'm leaving absolutely nothing for both brother-in-laws, only for 8 people, 2 sisters, 4 nephews, nieces, 1 aunt, 1 uncle. My friend, it's your money. You get to do with it as you choose. You've had a business, you've become successful, you've done the thing, and now that you have brain cancer, which is super terrible, and I hope like things work out actually. You're leaving money to people in your family, which is super noble, honorable. Like it's the nice thing to do. Now your brother-in-laws are saying that you're being controlling based on how you're giving the money. I don't think that's true. I mean, you don't have to leave them anything. You could have done things in a very different way. So you're not the asshole. But here's what I'm curious about, I guess, is like, what's your relationship like with your brother-in-laws to begin with? Has there been moments of controlling where they've brought this up to you and now it's kind of like extra evidence for them to say so? Again, you don't have to do anything with that. I'm just curious about the relationship in the past. But I don't think you've done anything wrong by, doing this doubling your income with your through your estate. I think that's a super cool way to do things, and they still get the money when they're 65. Like you've basically given them a retirement fund that they can access if they choose to work. I mean, nothing wrong with that. I think that's again a super noble, nice thing to do. So, not an asshole. The brother-in-laws are a bit of an asshole, I think, because you're saying, I'm dying, here's my will, and they're like, but you're being controlling. Okay, good. Like, it's your money, it's your choice to do that, right? Yeah, that's my stand. We'll do one more today. if it ever loads. So in the meantime, I'll take a sip of the coffee. We've been having some interesting conversations around these on TikTok. Let's go to new, because these are interesting too. Good. But am I the asshole? Oh, this post has been removed. Sometimes with the new ones, they're removed. Somebody posts it and then quickly deletes it, but that's okay. Am I the asshole for saying I'm not obligated to buy my boyfriend's kids Christmas presents? Let's find out. Me and my boyfriend have been dating for almost 3 years. He has 2 small children with his ex. We don't live together as of now, but plan to do so in the future. Now with Christmas approaching, my boyfriend mentioned getting the kids presents for the occasion. To be more specific, he's asking me if I want to buy them presents. I said I wasn't sure since I haven't bought them anything for the last year or the year before. He explained that I didn't buy them gifts the first year of dating because I said I was still new. And also I didn't get them gifts the second year because his ex had them spend Christmas with her. He said this year is the perfect year to start gifting them since they're going to spend it with us. But I said I still don't feel like I should since I'm not legally their stepmom yet, neither married nor engaged. He called me unreasonable and told me to think about what this will mean to the kids. I told him their mom could buy them gifts and I wasn't obligated to buy them any. He said it was like he's asking me to spend a huge chunk of money on an iPhone or bicycle. But I told him to stop pressuring me since gifts shouldn't be demanded, and that was what he was doing at this point. Since I'd already said I'm not considering it this year. Maybe next year if we get engaged. We had an argument and he said he was disappointed because he thought I love the kids so much, which I do love them. They're the apple of my eyes and it's evident how I treat them every single day. I just don't think that a gift should decide my love for them. But he sees that I'm in the wrong and have no valid argument. Am I the asshole for my stance? No, I mean, I think it's nice to get the kids gifts, but I don't think you're an asshole for not getting the gifts. And you're even communicating, saying, yeah, just so you know, I'm not going to be getting gifts. If you're treating them really nice and you're showing them love, that's great. I do take a bit of an issue with the argument your boyfriend had with you, where you're like, I'm not getting them gifts, and he's disappointed because he thought you loved the kids, and I guess you don't. That's mean. That's hurtful. That's a red flag for me. I think it would be, I would ask, why not buy them gifts? Is it, remove the relationship you have with this boyfriend guy who I actually think that's a bit of a red flag behavior. But, why not buy gifts? Buying gifts is nice. Do gifts mean something different for you, even if it's something, small, or, maybe, getting a board game you can all play together? But you don't have to. This is your choice. Even if you're a stepmom, you don't have to buy a gift. I've had birthdays where people who are very close to me don't get me a birthday gift. Maybe they had a tough year. Maybe, this year wasn't a good year to buy a gift. Maybe they couldn't find something that they liked. There's lots of reasons to not buy gifts, stepmom or not. But this argument where he's like, I'm disappointed because I thought you loved the kids. That's so evil to bring up in that way. So that's the thing I would question here for sure. When they argue, generally, one, do they generally argue? General argue. Second, do those arguments sound like that? Is there disappointment for small choices? And I take issue with that. That's going to be it for our stream today. That was fun. I'm going to go ahead and answer these in text so people can give me that sweet, sweet karma. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope your day is awesome. If you or anyone you know is looking for some coaching, check us out at thejournalthattalksback.com. We have a new website coming live, hopefully this week, maybe early next week, depending on due process. There's a book a call button. Soon it will be a get started button where you can book a call with me and we can talk about coaching for you. It's awesome. Thanks so much. Have an epic Monday and we'll see you on the flippity flop.